Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Well, today I got to sit down and talk to Slapafish Jr. This is, I think, what we could call the third episode in this series of sitting down and talking to various community contributors within the Community Contributor program that Wargaming runs. And basically I just sit down and talk to these individuals and get their take on the state of the game and what they feel needs to be improved, what is doing just fine, and we just bounce ideas back and forth. So today I got to talk to Slapafish Jr. I'll put a link to his channel in the description, but I won't keep you waiting any longer. Here's the conversation that I had with him. To kick things off, I think what we could start with is the game has obviously been through massive changes in the last year and a half. 6.0 was a thing, an event that shook the boat a lot for a lot of people. How do you feel the game is now compared to what it used to be?
What it used to be before 6.0. I think a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but I think the game's actually better than before 6.0. I mean, there's still some things missing, like 5-man platoons and binouts and other little things, but I think it's in a way better state.
Oh, really?
There's more there's more communication. Like, if 6.0 didn't happen, we would probably never get the community super tests, we would probably never get the Friday community streams, because those were results of 6.0, because they didn't really want to update like 6.0 again. Also, 6.0 was an update that needed to happen.
Yes. In the previous conversation I had with Eclipse, we talked about that. I mean you've played the game a lot longer and a lot more than I have, and I think you were in the super test before I was, and you've got more knowledge of the game. But I still don't understand the like, how bad was the game? How bad was the foundation of the game for them to release 6.0 in the state it was? Because I mean,
I don't think they had a choice.
Okay, why?
Because Action Heroes was a contracted season, and that update had to have with Action Heroes. They were hand in hand.
No, I'd not thought of it that way. Okay, so you think that the state the game is in now is better than prior to 6.0?
Yes.
In what ways exactly?
Communications? Like, communication is so much better now than it was before 6.0.
What, in-game, or are you talking about community communication?
Communication, like wargaming to like players, because the Friday streams never happened, the community super tests never happened. Those were results because of 6.0.
Okay.
And it also, the update 6.0 also made it easier for the game to get updated, because they know how to work the code, and things get implemented so much faster than before 6.0. Before 6.0, I was thinking about switching to PC or just kind of quitting.
Really?
Yes, because
that's what it was like for you.
It was just me being burnt out of the game. It really was. Then 6.0 was like, oh look, new stuff. It kind of like, oh my goodness, it's new stuff.
Yeah.
Then like a couple months into 6.0, I'm like, okay, they need to start fixing stuff. Because all this little stuff, all the little problems, like little bugs here and there, were adding up, and I was missing 5-man platoon, and the RNG changes. Hated those things.
Yes, I know.
Irritated.
Yeah, you were.
So much.
I know you. I know you've been very particular about the RNG changes. You've kind of, from what I've seen, you've been the RNG change advocate on various. In various Discord channels. Yeah, I've noticed the RNG changes, but I think for me I was just I wasn't at the level of depth that you've been with the game, so I was just, carrying on just playing the game like I always had. The state of the game now is I'm starting to feel a lot more comfortable with the game because we're having more maps return, and I obviously prefer to play Cold War for various reasons, which we could go into if you want.
You want to.
The game feels like it's a lot more well-rounded than it has been, and I think that's partly because of the maps that are coming back. I'm still hoping for Live Oaks. I still want Live Oaks back, but I don't know if that's planned or if it's ever going to come back. I hope it does. But for me,
Friday stream.
Yeah.
Ask on Friday stream. They'll probably put it up in the priority.
Yeah. I did actually the Friday stream a couple of weeks ago when I was on the stream. I did ask, and I think the answer was they're not sure. So, I'm still hoping that a Live Oaks comes back. But I think 6.0, when it dropped, the game felt very naked to me. The user interface was clunky. There were all kinds of bugs with the tanks. The map rotation was severely reduced. The garage was a hellscape, basically. So, comparing it now to how it was when 6.0 dropped, it has vastly improved. And I'm starting to feel like the game that I have now, the game that I play now, vastly improved. And I'm starting to feel like the game that I have now, the game that I play now, is much, much closer to what it was prior to 6.0. Like that level of comfort that you have as a player when you log in. I think before Retro quit, he described the game as, what did he say? He said it's like putting on a comfortable pair of slippers. The game was just really comfortable, it was well-rounded, everything was what it needed to be, and it was an enjoyable experience. And I feel that the game now is getting closer to the comfort level that we had before. I feel like the game is getting back to that now. Obviously, that's my opinion, but
yeah,
how do you feel on that?
I think the game's pretty comfortable right now, but there's definitely stuff missing, and there's definitely stuff they could add to the game. There's like the ribbons missing because a lot of people love ribbons, and I enjoyed the ribbons. 5-man platoons. They could add a team health bar, which would be a new improvement. And like certain equipments they took away, certain skills like what is it? Swimming lessons.
I was about to say your swimming lessons. You love your swimming lessons.
I know. I had it on every crew, and it went away.
But that was actually, this is something we can discuss because we did briefly talk about this in a recent live stream. 25 skills compared to 9. Now you've just said you would want swimming lessons back. Would you be prepared to sacrifice one of your 9 slots for swimming lessons? Because having that skill was fine when you had 25 slots, essentially. But now that we've only got 9, what would you drop to add swimming lessons?
Ooh, but I put it on every tank, like I did before. No, but I would only put it on like specific tanks.
Okay, so you drop it from every tank to specific ones.
Yes. I wouldn't put it on artillery. I wouldn't put it on lights. It would be mainly heavy tanks I would put it on, because usually with heavy, I like to drive in position. Like Arctic region is a really good spot to use swimming lessons. On the bottom left of the map, cross that way, or fight in the water with people and drown them. It was fun. I would probably drop rapid loading, honestly, if I was running a gun rammer, advanced loader, or something.
Okay.
Like that.
So you'd sacrifice a little bit of reload
picking swimming lessons. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Because sometimes I don't really see a point of running the advanced loader and rapid loading at the same exact time. I mean, 20% is nice, but if you have like something better, I would drop one over the other.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
yeah.
That's interesting then, because I've platooned up with you a lot, and we've done live streams together, and something I will say is there are kind of the play styles within the game can be fit. You can fit people's play styles into certain boxes. You can say, right, well, this person's really good at the passive play, this person's really good at the aggressive play. But after gaming with you and platooning with you for so long, it's like there are these two regular boxes for regular players, and then there's the Slapafish box. Because I've noticed you pull off some of the weirdest and wackiest plays, and I think to myself, if I did that, I'd be dead. But for whatever reason, you managed to pull it off. And, like, for example, you want swimming lessons on your tanks. Now, I've never thought that. I have never thought to myself, I really miss swimming lessons. Because I'm guessing it's because I fit into one of the other categories of play. But for you, your play style is completely different. And is it fair to say that having 25 skills was how can I put this? 25 skills meant that you could tailor your crews more easily to your playstyle, whereas having only 9 with a limited set number of skills means that the scope for variation within play is reduced, because the way, like you've just said, you'd put swimming lessons on all your crews. I wouldn't even think to do that because it's just not a priority for me at all. But for you it is, because you've got a completely different playstyle. You are far more aggressive and daring in a game than I would ever be. So do you feel that the 9 skills limits you, or do you feel that it's no different? Like, what's your take on the skills?
Okay, so 25 skills versus the 9 skills. Both crews have their pros and cons. Yeah. Basically, 25 skills is 25 skills. That's like a whole bunch of skills that you could take. 25 skills is a ton. You can just have a super crew for each nation and just be like, I'm good for every single tank. But with 9 skills, the crew skills are so much more powerful now. So that every time you put a skill, you can actually feel the difference. Before, when you were like on your 23rd skill, you put one on it, you could maybe notice it or barely notice it, unless it was like swimming lessons, 6th Sense, or something that was like, big effect like that. But the 9 skills, I feel like it just tailors more to a play style of the tank. You could suit your tank up more of a play style because the skills are so much more powerful.
Okay. So you prefer the 9 skills over the 25?
I do. Also, the swimming lessons. And the 25 skills, I would always put it like one of the first skills for my heavy tanks, but with lights and mediums, tank destroyers, and artilleries, it was usually one of the like 10th, 12th, 15th skill I always did.
Right. Okay, alright, so you prefer the 9 skills?
Yes.
Okay, alright. I will play... for now, I'll play Devil's Advocate, and I'll put myself in the shoes of 6.0 has just dropped, and I'll put myself in the shoes of a veteran who would say to you, okay, the only reason I was playing was to grind out as many 25 skill crews as possible. Now, all of my crews are fully unlocked. I've got 9 skills on every single crew I've got every tank in the game. What's my reason to carry on playing?
Reason on playing. Could always go 3 marking or 4 marking tanks. Or what else? I also did have this idea that 6.0 dropped out. Like, if you wanted to, this was the idea I had.
Uh-huh.
So other games have this, like if you purge, like if you build up 9 skills on a crew, I always had this idea. Like if you build up the 9 skills, if you wanted to, you could purge all of your skills to go back to like 2 skills, but you would have 10 skills in total.
Oh, you'd unlock
If
an
you
extra
build it-
slot.
Yes, I've always
Yeah.
thought about that. You can do
That-
that up to the maximum of 12.
Yes, that
It's
idea.
a ton of grinding.
It is, but that idea is not a new idea. Sorry, I don't, I don't mean to slate what you've just said. No, what you've said is a good idea, but that's not new to the gaming industry, is what I should have said. Because I remember,
where I got it from.
yeah, I remember playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 on the PS3, and we're talking 2009, 2010, and I remember you could reach level, was it level 50 or level 60 on your character, and you could enter prestige mode, which meant that you essentially went back to level 1, but you were at prestige level 1. And there were people that played the game 24/7, and they were on like prestige level 9, which means they'd cycled through all 60 levels 9 times, and that was a reason to keep playing once you'd maxed everything out. So I see what you're getting at there is you reach your 9 skills and then hit the prestige mode for World of Tanks, but you'd have a 10th slot unlocked. Is that right? And
Yep.
you could do it a second time and have 11, and a third time would be 12.
Yes. Maximum 12.
Maximum of 12. That is an interesting idea. And would you keep the XP level? Because at the moment the 9th skill is 1.5 million, I think. Crew XP.
Yeah, I think you would have to like regrind through the 9. Basically doing another 9 skill crew.
So the ninth skill would still be 1.5 million, and the 10th skill would be 2 million. Something like that.
Probably something like that.
That is an interesting way of looking at it, actually. I'd not thought of that. Because the reason I said I would play Devil's Advocate is because I know at 6.0 a lot of people quit. Because their reason for playing was, they had every tech tree tank, they had every premium tank, and the last thing to grind was their skills, their crew skills. So that was their reason for playing, and I can understand why a player would say, well, not only have they taken away the thing that I was grinding for, but the game, obviously at the time, when 6.0 came out, it was an absolute dog's dinner, and the incentive to play was taken away, and the visual aesthetics of the game was greatly reduced. So that was a big blow to people, and I do think that the quality of gameplay has taken a hit because a lot of the veteran players left. But I think that crew skill idea of regrinding, that's an interesting one. Have you suggested that to
I have
Wargaming?
not.
That's what I think you should, actually. That's an interesting one. And it'll be interesting to see what other people think of that idea as well, because that obviously, like I've just said, that does happen in other video games as a way of incentivizing people to carry on. Are there any other aspects of the game that you think need improving or adding back? What else was missing now from prior to 6.0?
Like I said, skills, equipment, ribbons.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's more. I just can't remember them right now. Maps.
Maps, yeah.
War stories would be nice to come back.
Okay.
I know a lot of people want war stories. Proving grounds.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever play Proving Grounds?
No, I didn't.
Ooh.
I barely played the war stories as well.
What's that?
I know.
Do you know what the Proving Grounds was?
No, I don't.
Okay, basically, it was a mission that you had to do. There was one called Hunt the E100.
Okay.
Basically, you would go over, you start as a tank, and you would have an ally. It would be a bot ally, and, and during the mission, you would destroy one tank, then you would move on to the next, then to the next, and to the next, and to the next. I think you go through like 10 different tanks, taking them out one by one,
Yeah.
and during that, you would get allies during that. I think in a total of 5 allies. Then you would get to the E100, and you have to kill the E100 with your remaining amount of ammunition and health. You didn't get no more ammunition or health. So it was always kind of cool. Like, you could go in there and just challenge yourself, because I know somebody that did the Hunt E100 with a tier 4.
A tier 4.
Yes. In some proving grounds, it would actually, you could do co-op. You could go in there with, like, I think one other person,
Yeah.
and the bots would be on your team. You could be like a 15 versus 15, but you could control the bots by like doing the commands, and you could like play with another person and just organize your bots to be like, hey, go here, go here, go here.
Wow.
It was kind of cool.
That, yeah.
There's a ton of missions. Also, you get silver and gold for doing it too.
You get gold for doing it.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Wow, I didn't know that. That's a way of testing yourself.
Yes, it was. Proving grounds, basically what it says. Proving yourself.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Have they said anything about bringing it back, or?
I asked them like a year and a half ago, but they didn't have no plans. Well, I asked Minto, and he said, as far as he knows, they didn't have any plans.
Okay.
But
all right.
that was over a year ago, so
Who
knows? Could always ask.
I think that is another one to ask, because that sounds like it would be a very interesting one for. Well, if you're tired of playing multiplayer, if you're fed up of World War II or you're fed up of Cold War, that's another option you have to play, isn't it? Another way of keeping people in the game.
I probably have a screenshot somewhere of the proving grounds of what all the missions were.
Ah, okay.
It was also pretty good for new players.
Yes. I played playing co-op is another good way of new players leveling up. You don't get as much silver and you don't earn as much XP, but playing in co-op does give you the chance to stay alive longer. And I think because I was playing with my wife, and one of the biggest issues she has is she doesn't understand the game well enough to stay alive long enough to sort of pick up a new trick or two. And the option for co-op means that you stay alive a little bit longer, you don't take as much punishment because you're not playing against 8-year veterans at tier 6, and it's a bit more gentle on new players, because I think that is one of the key issues with the game. I think World War II is pretty brutal on new players. I think Cold War can also be a little bit brutal, but it doesn't feel as brutal. Because, well, personally, in my opinion, I think the playing field in Cold War is a bit more level than World War II. But I do think the new player experience does need to be improved somewhat.
So, it does need to be improved. And they are working on it.
Yes, I know they are working on it.
Removing tier 1 and tier 2 was a bad idea.
Yeah.
The tech trees. Because tier 1 and tier 2, 3 and 4 were like your
tutorial.
It's tutorial. It was like the best tutorial you would have, even without having a tutorial. Tier 1 just taught you how to drive, how to shoot, and stuff like that. Tier 2, you got a bit of armor.
Yeah.
You started to learn a bit more maps positionings. Tier 3, you got armor. Started to learn how to do hold down armor. It's like, oh, you got armor in the turret now. You got armor with your front. Do a little bit of side scraping, angling. it was a stepping stone. I pretty much thought about that when I was playing PC, like starting on PC. Play tier 8 and just got completely destroyed. Play tier 1, tier 2, do pretty good.
Yes.
Because playing PC is different.
Yeah. PC is very different, yeah.
Tier 1 and tier 2 and 3 were nice to play, but the problem PC had about the tier 1, 2, 2, 3 is because they didn't have bots. Because you would get into like a 4v4 match or just wait forever, and it's like, if there was just bots in here, like there was on the console edition, this would be like so good.
Yes.
But it has to wait in queue forever.
Yeah. And actually, speaking of bots, I know this is probably a controversial point as well. Some people are, because having bots in the game is what would make or break +1 or +1 -1. That's what is going to make or break it, because I think Wargaming have stated that you can have +1 -1 if you accept bots at all tiers. But if you don't accept bots at all tiers, we don't have the numbers to implement +1 -1 effectively.
Which is true.
Yes, that is true.
I know exactly what time they're talking about, and I have played during that time where there was a maximum of 4,000 people online.
Yeah.
I played it during +2 -2, and it's like waiting in queue for like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
And still get bots. I'm like, the heck? At tier 8.
Yep.
It's like, dang.
Yes, that's. I think that's one that I do feel as though the community needs to sort of figure out where it stands, because it can't have its cake and eat it. You know, you can't have +1 -1 in exactly the way you want it. You're going to have to compromise, and if the community is willing to compromise with bots, then they can have it. If not, then, well, you're out of luck, sort of thing.
I think the best thing is to improve +2 -2. Just like I've told you this idea. PC has it already implemented. If there's 30 tier 8s in a match, put 30 tier 8s in a match, because tier 6 matchmaking is probably the worst in the game.
Yes.
Because tier 8 is like the most popular tier, and tier 6s can't play with 4s. And also, 6 has it the worst by far, because there's so many 8s. There's 30 tier 8s in a match. It's at 30 tier 8s in a match. No matter the tanks, no matter the class, just put them in there.
But again,
and
I think
same for tier 10.
Yeah, implement that kind of matchmaking. But if bots were allowed, even if you didn't have 30 tier 8s, you could substitute 3 or 4 with bots, which would then mean that, and you could do the same for tier 6. And I personally think that the overall gameplay experience would be so much better if it were like that, because
it would.
Playing, I mean, I was platooned with my wife, obviously, like I've just said, and she's been playing for, a matter of months, whereas I've been playing for a matter of years. And if I'm struggling in a tier 6 against tier 8s as a coming up to 5-year veteran, you put yourself in the shoes of someone who's in their 2nd or 3rd month. The incentive to carry on playing is so small. I wouldn't blame any new players for just saying, nah, sorry, not playing this, uninstall, bye-bye. I do think that is a critical part of the World War II game experience that does need to be addressed as a matter of priority. I've got my own views on the vision system, as you know, but we won't go into that now. I'll save that for another video.
Yeah.
But,
there's a ton of good tier 6s I love to play, but I don't really play them because it's always bottom tier.
Yes. The Rover is a good light tank, but I hardly play it for that reason. Well,
Yep.
there you have it. All right, dude. Well, we've been talking for almost 40 minutes now. So
Really?
yeah, yeah. I think what I'll do is I'll call this one here at this point, and I will. There are other topics I'd like to talk about with you, but we'll have to save those for another time. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
I'll do this again. It's fun.
cool. I'll catch you another time.